I've seen countless defendants pass through courtroom doors, carrying entitlement like armor. But nothing compared to the morning Alexandra Whitmore entered. She walked in draped in luxury. A dress worth more than many people earn in months. Not just confident, but radiating a kind of arrogance that immediately set the tone. Before she even spoke, there was tension. And when she finally did, her words carried such open disrespect and superiority that it was clear this wouldn't be an ordinary hearing. What unfolded over the next 40 minutes didn't just resolve a case. It reshaped her entire future and reinforced a simple truth. Inside this courtroom, wealth holds no power. The case file itself seemed straightforward. Alexandra Whitmore, 24, facing charges of reckless driving, fleeing the scene of an accident and obstruction. She had slammed into a minivan at a red light, causing serious damage. When the driver stepped out to exchange details, Alexandra laughed, dismissed the vehicle as worthless, and drove off. Everything had been captured clearly on traffic cameras, undeniable evidence. But context made this case different. Alexandra wasn't just anyone. She was the daughter of Richard Whitmore, a billionaire CEO whose name carried influence across the city. Their family funded charities, held positions on major boards, and had buildings named after them. And Alexandra walked in believing that influence would follow her here. She didn't just arrive late. She arrived carelessly late, nearly 20 minutes past schedule. Her attorney hurried ahead, apologizing repeatedly, while Alexandra followed behind with the ease of someone entering a luxury lounge, not a court of law. Every step, every movement, every detail, from her designer accessories to the sunglasses she kept on, felt like a deliberate display of status. I allowed her to settle before addressing her. I acknowledged her arrival and questioned her lateness. She removed her sunglasses slowly, offering nothing more than a casual remark about traffic. No apology, no recognition of the court's authority. Just indifference. Her attorney attempted to smooth things over, but Alexandra's behavior spoke louder. When I reminded her of the seriousness of being on time in court, she responded with a shrug, an actual shrug, confirming exactly what I suspected. The courtroom was filled, observers, reporters, and among them Maria Chen, a nurse who had just finished a long shift, sitting quietly after everything she'd endured. She was the one Alexandra had hit. She was the one left dealing with the aftermath, while the defendant treated the situation like an inconvenience. As proceedings continued, Alexandra's lack of respect became more obvious. She checked her phone mid-hearing, responded dismissively when corrected, and behaved as though the entire process was beneath her. Even her attorney seemed increasingly uncomfortable, aware that his client was undermining any chance of leniency. When she described the incident as just a minor accident, the weight of her words hung heavily in the room. To her, it was nothing. To Maria Chen, it was lost income, trauma for her children, and a disrupted life. I walked her through the reality of her actions, what she had done, what the law required, and what she chose instead. Still, she minimized everything, so I presented the footage. The video spoke for itself. The collision, the visible distress of the victim, the dismissive remark. And then the moment she drove away, ignoring responsibility completely. When asked about her behavior, Alexandra showed no regret. Even after seeing the evidence, she insulted the victim's vehicle again. The courtroom reacted, but her expression remained unchanged, detached, almost amused. That was the moment the direction of the case became clear. Standing from the bench, I made it known that this was no longer routine. I questioned her logic, her mindset, her reasoning. And what emerged wasn't just entitlement, but a complete disconnect from accountability. She justified her actions with absurd reasoning, suggesting her wealth somehow minimized the consequences. Even when pressed, she showed no genuine understanding of the harm caused. We moved deeper into the facts. Her decision to leave, her activities afterward, her failure to report the incident. Each answer reinforced the same pattern: disregard for others and belief in personal immunity. Then came the turning point. She revealed that she expected the case to be dismissed because of her family's influence. That assumption was dismantled immediately. I made it clear, none of that mattered here. Not her name, not her status, not her family's wealth. In this courtroom, she was simply a defendant who broke the law. For the first time, her confidence faltered. Before sentencing, I read the victim's statement. Maria Chen's words filled the room with something Alexandra had avoided facing: human impact, fear. pain, the emotional toll on her children. As the reality settled in, Alexandra's composure finally began to crack. When the statement ended, the silence carried weight. Then came the judgment. She was found guilty. The sentence was firm: jail time, license suspension, mandatory service, and full restitution. Not symbolic punishment, but real consequences designed to force accountability. Her reaction was immediate: shock, disbelief, and resistance. But the ruling stood. As she was taken into custody, the illusion she had lived in began to collapse completely. Even her father, faced with the situation, chose not to intervene, acknowledging that this was the result of her own actions. The courtroom shifted from tension to reflection. Maria Chen spoke, not with anger, but with quiet strength. Her words reminded everyone why justice matters, not for revenge but for fairness, for truth, and for the message it sends. In the months that followed, change began to take shape. Alexandra served her sentence. She faced the reality she had avoided. Through her required service, she encountered the very people she once dismissed. And slowly, something changed. Accountability replaced arrogance, understanding replaced entitlement. By the time she returned months later, she was no longer the same person. The transformation wasn't forced. It was earned. She acknowledged her mistakes, not defensively, but honestly. And that's the purpose of justice, not just to punish, but to correct, to teach, and when possible, to transform. Maria Chen's family found stability again. Her children began to heal. And Alexandra discovered something far more valuable than privilege: a sense of responsibility, because in the end, justice doesn't care about status. It only cares about truth. And in that courtroom, truth prevailed.